So in addition to that, in this sheet, you have, like I referenced earlier, the what, the why, and the how. So recall that. Let me just go back to that first page. So the what, why, and the how, where you gave your hypothesis, just remember that as you're going through this, and as it occurs to you when you're writing out the words, because remember, while you're doing this, you're thinking about the original verse that we are researching. So in that context, you can say, oh, well, that's the what of this, even though it's not that verse, this is what it means. And you can see just with that, how you're seeing threads throughout the Bible. Like, we're looking at verses Old and New Testament for this one verse, and they're all tied together, right? So as it occurs to you here, write out if it was a what, a why, or a how. And you're definitely going to find some hows as you go through this research. So then once we have all this filled out, we're going to go over here and do our verse map, set up exactly the same way as the keyword map. Write your verse in the middle. You have 6 sections, and these that are bolded or darkened, highlighted, whatever, write your keywords that we were focusing on. And so here, I forgot to say, you're going to write your keyword that you found from your keyword map. The ones that you listed here are the ones you're going to focus on to look up verses for and see if there's a verse to support those words in the Bible. So write out your keyword. So when we get over here, we can transfer those keywords to these first level bubbles, if you will. And then since we have that written over here, we can come over and simply write out the book, chapter, and verse, your reference or address for that verse. If you want to write out a few words to help you remember what it was, you can do that. But because they're set up side by side, they're in that order for a reason. So when you're over here and you're trying to recall, you know, you're having a conversation with somebody or another Bible study or something like that, all you have to do is say, okay, that was the word I was looking for, and this was the verse that I was looking for, and then you can come straight over here because you've also written all that information, and you're like, oh, there's the verse. You don't have to open your Bible or do any further searching. It's just all right there for your easy recall. And that's really the reason to do it this way. Easy recall and organization. So that's the bulk of the research. And then we're going to come to our reflection board. We're going to write the verse again. That might be like the fit. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This will be the 6th time, I believe, that you are writing out the verse. So you're probably getting pretty comfortable with it and in the process of memorizing it without having to specifically work on memorization. So just write it out word for word. Then in the second one, rewrite it. Those keywords we've been looking up, instead of those, use the synonyms that you have found and those other descriptor words in place of the original keywords. So rewrite it using synonyms instead of the keywords. Okay. Then I want to skip this because I want to spend a few minutes on it. So then come down here, summarize overall what you've learned. How can you apply it to your life specifically? Maybe there's an action you can take based off what you've read and what you've learned. And then down here, pray, write out a prayer and ask God to work on your heart towards this verse, and potentially a way that you can move to action in that. The anti-verse is really neat, and I wanted to share something specific with you on that. Except I didn't bring out that information immediately. Hold on. I'm gonna find it. Just give me 1 second. I know where it is. I just have to find the here it is right here. This was the small booklet that we used during our conference, but the definition of anti is opposed or opposite. It is one that is not for but against, contrary, a condition incompatible with another or in conflict with another. It is unfavorable, resisting, and pursuing the opposite. Now, after doing a lot of word maps myself, pursuing has a bigger meaning to me. So this is not just being opposed or opposite, it's pursuing the opposite. That's a big difference. So as an example, we're gonna, on this right here, rewrite our verse with antonyms. And like we just said, antonyms are opposite. We've been looking up synonyms up until this point. You've probably seen antonyms as you're looking through for synonyms. But here, go ahead and go back to your thesaurus, look up specific antonyms for those keywords that we have been using. Then we're going to replace the keywords with antonyms instead. So here's the example. Our verse was, let your heart therefore be wholly devoted to the Lord our God. And so the way the antonyms I've written out here, so I rewrote it like this. Let your heart therefore be somewhat and aimlessly faithless, fickle, disloyal, untrue, wavering, vacillating, on the fence, shaky, and apathetic. So that's extremely powerful, a little scary, and it feels awful to say. It's just obviously not what we want to be, but perhaps you have found yourself in there. And that's what's scary, and that's eye-opening. And if you don't have anything to write in your prayer, but you saw yourself here, write that as your prayer. God, help me not to be that way. Help me to be faithful. Help me to be loyal and true to you. Help me not be on the fence. Help me to be 100% wholly devoted to you. So that's how you can use an anti-verse as your prayer. So that is the last sheet of a single verse map. And then we come over to a new one for the next week. Okay. Also, if I highly recommend using tabs. So each time there's a new cover sheet, we're going to do a new verse, put a tab. And so then you have your verse listed on there. And then once you know what your keyword is going to be, write the keyword on there as well. You can even do a second tab and write the word on that tab. So when, again, it's about recall and organizing. So then you can come back easily. You know, like I said, if you're in a Bible study or a conversation with somebody and you're like, I just first mapped that. Hold on, let me go find it. You can go, oh, it was on John 15, and that was the word. It was abide in love. And then you can come back in here and go, oh, look, it was right here. It was abide, and this was the word I was looking for. And then, oh, look, this was the verse. See, here's what it says, da 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 da. And you've done it that fast. So that's how you can use this later. So it's not, you spent so much time on it, you don't want to just toss it away. I mean, ultimately, you would end up with binders full of these, and you can come back at any time and reference it, because you're going to find so much good information, and you're going to read every Bible study, every Bible verse in a different way. You're going to understand it differently because you're just adding to your knowledge every single time you do this. So I hope that you enjoy walking with God through your verse mapping. If you have any questions outside of what I've discussed with you, at the very, very back, I have a email, walkingwithgod.versemapping@gmail.com, and you can message me there. and I'm happy to help in any way I can.